sewing in Trifocals, and it is Me Made May. I just found out May 2018, and I guess every other May is for things we make for ourselves. And of course, I think last month, April, was National Serger Month, and then September is National Sewing Month. I'm sure there's a quilting month in there, so we've got a month for everything. And sorry I haven't been around for a while. I'm behind on uploading things. But as usual, I'm sewing something. I can't remember if I showed this before or not, but this is a beautiful pillow that I made, little pillow for my mid-back, hummingbird, and stuffed with lots and lots of batting. I wanted a firm pillow for my mid-back for at home, and then I have a very big pillow made from the same fabric pattern for work, and it's great. I used a different level of batting, not quite as hard for that pillow because I have a different chair at work. And these are fabric panels, hummingbird fabric panels that you can order from Sewing with Nancy, Nancy's Notions. Chaos here is a project that I started yesterday, and I watched a YouTube video by a lady named Annika Victoria, and this is self-drafted lace undies. You do it by following instructions and your own measurements and then measuring your fabric. The only thing I did different, this lace is only 6 inches wide. That's not going to cover the subject. But anyway, that's what I'm making. This is my first pair, and I've just gotten to the cutting stage. I haven't done the gusset or anything yet. But the video was really easy to follow, and you spell Annika, A-N-N-I-K-A, and then Victoria, and it's called DIY, do it yourself, lace underwear on YouTube. So I'm just going to, this is my first try, and I'm going to see how it works out. Yeah, I just thought it would be kind of fun to do and make me feel more elegant even if no one else knows that I'm wearing it. One of the things that I used that was very helpful, this is not quite a T-square, but I don't know if you can see this very well. It's an L-square to make sure I was cutting the edges straight and stuff, and that was a big help. And I find for stretchy lace, as for almost everything else, I was using mostly my rotary cutter. I did use my good old cheap sewing scissors, Bluetooth in my ear, following the instructions as Annika Victoria gives them, and so far so good. I'll just let you come along for the ride here, and I'll speed it up so nobody gets bored. Again, thank you for learning right along with me. This is my first time doing something completely without a pattern other than a square pillow. It can be done. This one works out. The second one I'll start from the measuring process on. I'll be doing it in a different lace fabric that's going to require hemming. This is galloon lace, and I'll be able to see on each edge it's finished. And I have some stretchy lace fabric that I'm going to make the next one out of, so I'm going to need to do hems. This type of boy short underwear for cutting out, I think this is the leg. I'm not sure where this goes, but anyway, I'm actually following the video on my phone with a doesn't look good with elastic on the legs and waist, so I'm going to hem it. But this lace and the other lace that I have are quite stretchy, so they will stay on you. Annika Victoria instructed to each piece is half your girth around your hips, and then you subtract a total of 4 inches from the full girth, so you're subtracting 2 inches from each piece. So they should stay on pretty well. I will certainly test them out. Okay, so here I am. I'm pinning the right sides together of the center front and center back seams. At 500 times the normal speed. And I'm sorry you heard me breathing there earlier. I decided to put the windsock onto this microphone because I'm actually laying tummy down on my bed to rest my back, and I was kind of
trying to get comfortable and breathing too close to the microphone. But there you can see I'm pinning with my beloved quilting pins, which are easiest for me to use because they're long and the heads are easy to see. I guess I was being very fussy about matching everything up. There is I used the stitch length of 3. And as you can see by the caption, I did narrow the zigzag. And the zigzag works just great on stretchy material. That was a 1/2 inch seam as called for in the directions. And there's my nice magnetic seam guide. That's a great, great tool to make sure that your seams are the right width. So here I'm sewing one center seam. And I'm always backtracking because an undergarment is under stress. So I backtrack my stitches whether they're straight or zigzag. Okay, now I'm trimming the seams close to the stitching, of course, without accidentally cutting the stitching. That's just to reduce the bulk of the garment. And the next one I make, I will take the time to press open each seam because it makes the subsequent steps easier to do when you're pinning things together. And of course you'll be able to see better what I'm doing because it'll be a light gray stretch lace fabric. It is not galloon lace, so the next project I'll have to actually hem it. Okay, there I'm cutting out the gusset, and I think it was 4 inches by 2.5 or 1.5 for plus size. So I was following the plus size directions. I will be making the next one bigger. I'm going to modify, have a longer gusset, and a little bit wider too. That's just my preference. But I'll talk you through it. I just made the first one here according to the directions, and it did fit pretty well. And it's very comfortable too. I'm actually wearing it under my jeans. So, anyway. Okay, there I am cutting with my rotary cutter. I just find that easier than scissors and of course quicker in most cases. Okay, I think I did a 1/4 inch side seam on the gusset. Of course, back stitching again at the ends. Here's seam number 2 of my gusset. Okay, then I'm turning it inside out as per Annika Victoria's instructions. And now I am going to pin it to the front and back center seam ends there. Again, I'm going to press open the next seams that I do on the next project. Anyway, again, you're going to pin right sides together. And then attach the ends of the gusset to the undergarment itself. I think I did another 1/4 inch seam. There I am trying to push the pins in a little bit because they're going to get in the way. I look so over-caffeinated when I speed these videos up, but if I didn't, this would be like a 40-minute video. I think that's how long it took me to make this undergarment. It's not really a hugely long project. It's pretty simple. And again, I was tickled to be able to do something that's self-drafted. I've never done that before in my life, but this has made me brave. I might do some other things where I take my measurements and follow directions on drafting my own pattern for something. I never thought I'd say that. Okay, I think I'm sewing the other end of the gusset on, right there. Again, 1/4 inch seam, wobble stitch. Okay, I'm turning it right side out, and you can see it's a finished seam there, and you can see I used white to guide myself while I was, white chalk to guide myself while I was sewing my 2 pieces of lace together, because they weren't wide enough, so I had to double them. That way I had okay, there I'm saying that I should have fixed the white balance, but I didn't on my camcorder. In this process here, before you see this part, I turned the knickers inside out, and I did pin for some tummy control on the front. And I actually wound up doing that twice, because the first time that I sewed a seam for tummy control, it wasn't quite enough to be stretchy and control my tummy. I think this is the first seam here, which was probably 1 inch wide at the top, and then it's tapered at the bottom and joins the original seam. And of course, after I altered it for tummy control, you have a definite front and a definite back to these undies. I did mark the back, as you'll see later, by hand sewing some red thread in sort of a discrete spot up near the waistband, or what would be the waistband. It's just the top edge of the undies in this case. Not sure what I'm doing here, thinking or something. Oh, here I go. I'm going to draw in the first of my 2 alterations to try and gain more tummy control. And I particularly like this ruler with the pink markings. It's easily viewed against dark and light fabric. I think it was in honor of Breast Cancer Month. Not sure what happened here. I guess the marking wasn't dark enough, so actually not white enough, so I went over it. It's kind of hard to sew on black fabric, as most people realize once they try it, especially when you have older eyes. My eyes are 59 years old, just like the rest of me. Apparently I'm being extremely thorough here. Okay, I backtracked again. I'm using the same narrow zigzag or wobble stitch. And a backtrack at the end. You can see that it tapers, and I wind up joining the original seam. I guess I'm just kind of taking a look at the finished product, or semi-finished product here. I don't know. Oh, here, yeah, this is, I now am doing a total of a 1.5 inch seam at the top and tapering down. I re-tried these on and wanted a little more tummy control, and it was a total of a 1.5 inch alteration at the top. And you can see the panties are 16 inches wide, finished product. And you can kind of see how they look, and I'm pointing there. There's my